This conference will now be recorded.
Chair Roder, I show 9 o'clock if you want to kick us off.
You bet. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Iowa and Iowa One Communications Council meeting for Thursday, February 9th, 2023. As we all know, we're meeting virtually today thanks to good old Iowa weather. So we will skip over the guest introductions today. That would be a little cumbersome, but if we could, Kara, could you please give us a roll call over members, please?
Yes, I will. Chris Jasper.
I am here.
All right. Lawrence Hartpence.
Here.
George Griffith. Mike Bryant. Now, Mike had sent me a text and said he was going to be on, but I had spotty internet, so I'm going to mark him present. Mark Murphy. Tracy Bearden.
Present.
Richard Pierce.
Present.
Rob Dennert.
Present.
Okay. Jack D'Angelo. And Jack had also sent us a message, said he had something this morning, so he thought his alternate was going to be on. Scott Havel. Taylor Teeple. You do have a quorum, Chair.
Okay, thank you.
This is George. I arrived late.
Thank you, George.
Okay, if we could please have a motion to approve today's agenda.
Jasper will motion.
Griffith will second.
Thank you. Thank you. Any introduction? I'm going to mute for just a second, okay? Sorry about that, folks. I had one phone that did not get turned off. Anyway, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, same sign. Motion carries. Likewise, could I have a motion to approve the January 12th, 2023 minutes?
Pierce will make the motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
Jasper will second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signal by saying aye.
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 Against, same sign. And motion carries. Blake, do we have a report?
I do, thank you. I will just jump into the program financials. PSAPs should have received their surcharge checks a couple weeks ago. Nothing out of the ordinary on the payment sheet, but happy to address any questions if there were any. And then jumping into the quarterly expenditure report, just a few things to highlight. If you remember from the previous quarter, we were actually operating in negative balance. We had to draw from the surplus in order to cover all of the front end of our bills. There's a couple of reasons for that I explained at the time. I do want to draw your attention that this time we did operate and add some into the surplus, so that's a good thing. Again, that's something we are keeping an eye on, kind of trying to identify any trends, kind of long-term, looking over the last, year and a half. Probably not planning anything at this point this legislative session, but again, we'll continue to keep an eye on that and make sure we can cover all of our bills and make sure that we have enough surcharge in the bank, so to speak. So again, nothing that we're looking at this year, but keeping an eye on that to make sure we're continuing to drop money into that operating surplus. Not a lot else to really highlight out of the expenditure report. If you have any questions, I would certainly take them. And if not, I will continue on with the rest of my briefing. All right, so went over the program financials. Just a reminder that we are still needing some annual forms from the counties that are listed there. And again, as a reminder, the expenditure collection form, that is tied to surcharge. So if we don't receive that by the end of March, we will have to start withholding surcharge from any county that we haven't received the form from. So next quarterly payment process ends up being in April, so that would be the time frame that we start that first withholding cycle, and we withhold 35% per Iowa Code 34A. If you have not received the telecommunicator training board, first of all, probably reach out to me and make sure that we have your contact list. It's been sent far and wide, a couple different routes. But if you have not received it or have not had time to take that, that QR code that is on the screen there, you can scan that and it'll take you directly to that telecommunicator training board survey. That closes February 20th. And again, that is from the telecommunicator training board looking to make improvements to the 40-hour basic course through ILEA. So please, we're wanting a wide range of opinions and positions and input on that survey. So please, again, spread that far and wide and make sure you do take that survey. Finally, on this slide, one thing that I have kind of always wanted to get to as my time as program manager, never really been able to do it, is finally getting off the drawing board. Allie's put in a lot of work on creating an email newsletter. At this point, not sure if that'll be monthly, quarterly, or as we get to it, but that will be going out Friday. And that way, there's kind of just a nice formatted way that we can get information out to folks in the field, hopefully cut down on random emails that you have to kind of dig through and sort through to find. But it's just a way to better communicate out to PSAPs or anyone interested in 911. It'll be various housekeeping items, timely things, training opportunities, things like that. So look for that on Friday. One of the things that will be in that newsletter is a reminder that training is available. The next one, I should say, that is coming up is actually next week already. This is a cyber awareness webinar put on by our friends at CISA, Monday in the afternoon and Tuesday in the morning. You only really need to register for one of those if you are interested. They will be the same for both offerings. We did this a number of years ago, but as everyone's aware, cyber just becomes more and more important and prevalent. So this is an opportunity, and it is really kind of at the, it's not designed for the IT specialist. It really is designed for perhaps the PSAP supervisor, for questions to ask and things to be aware of. So if you haven't registered yet, the link is on the screen, but you can also contact me and I'll just shoot you the link in the email if you need it that way as well. Legislatively, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this. I think it's probably more appropriate for maybe a NENA or APCO rep to spend some time on this, but just to bring it to everyone's attention, House File 127 has been introduced, and that would reclassify emergency management coordinators as well as public safety telecommunicators as a protected status for IPERS. No other 911 or any sort of emergency communication bills have been introduced to this point. Great first month of Q3 for GIS and grant purposes. Just in 1 month, 84 counties already met the benchmarks for the third quarter. As a reminder, we pay that out quarterly now, so the dollar amount isn't listed, but well on our way for the third quarter. The council will have 2 training applications to consider later on in the meeting today. Kind of the standing agreement that we have with NENA as well as APCO, but the application is NENA for their spring conference. You can see the dollar amount and the training that they've requested. And then also for Cerro Gordo County, and that's actually 3 courses over the course of 3 days that they have applied for. So as we get to the consideration of those applications, I do have them and I'll be able to display them on the screen at that time. And you can see if and when we approve those still approximately $60,000 remaining in the fund. That wraps up my portion. Is there any questions for me before we go on to shared services? All right, hearing none. Lynn Warren, are you on and ready to give a briefing?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
I can, thank you. Take it away.
Yep, thank you. Next slide. So we've got Carroll County going live in just under 2 weeks, February 22nd there. You can see the rest of the PSAPs that we have signed up for the rest of the first half of 2023. We just had Bremer and Harrison come on board. Next slide, please. And there's the map of the state. Lots of green, lots of yellow, still room for more. Next slide, please. We've got our February newsletter coming out this week. If you're interested in getting on the distribution list, just send me an email. Or if you have any questions about the program, it's lynn.warren@zetron.com. And I think that's it for today.
All right, any questions for Zetron on shared services or for me? All right, and with that, I will turn it back over to you, Mr. Chair.
Thanks, Blake. As mentioned, we do have some training fund requests. We'll start with NENA Spring Conference. Their training entitled Saving Lives on Both Sides of the Call, and that request is $3,500. Is there anyone from NENA that would like to speak on that?
Sure. I could do that. We're excited to bring Tracy Eldridge here for the conference this year. We've been trying to get her here for the past year and a half, and unfortunately our schedule didn't work out. Tracy is a past PSAP manager and now owns her own company called On Scene First and does a podcast. She's got lots of experience, and we're looking forward to her coming and presenting at the conference.
Okay, thank you, Chris. We'll just put these together if it's okay with everyone else. Is there anybody that is going to have to abstain from one of these?
Yeah,
on the calendar?
I will from the NENA one.
Okay, we'll just take them one at a time then. Let's just go ahead, and I would entertain a motion to approve the NENA request for $3,500.
Bearden, motion to approve the request for $3,500 for NENA.
Okay.
Kara will second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor signal by saying aye.
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 Against, same sign. And the motion carries. Okay, and then Cerro Gordo County, they have 3 courses over 3 days. Those are Healthy Dispatcher, The Power of Resilience, the Emotionally Intelligent Comm Center, and Effective Supervision. That request is $13,500. Is there anyone from Cerro Gordo that would like to speak on that?
I can. It's Adam Tim. I think Ames has had him here for a training, but the last I knew he was in the state was back in, I believe, 2019. He was a previous dispatcher, talks about resiliency in dispatch, and he just does a really good job of explaining how to stay positive because he was a very negative dispatcher. So I think the third day I've never really done before for Cerro Gordo, but it's kind of tailored for supervisors, but obviously any dispatcher would be welcome to attend. So added a third day this year for our training.
Okay, anybody have any questions? Okay, do I have a motion to approve this request?
Motion to approve, Bearden.
Okay, do I have a second?
Jasper will second.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor signal by saying aye.
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 Against, same sign. And the motion carries. Okay, moving on. Do we have any technical advisories? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. Do we have an update from Iowa Statewide Interoperability Communication Systems Board from Haley?
Good morning. Thank you, Chair. I would
morning.
first like to thank Carroll County for being a willing participant and to CISA for their assistance in the ORAP or operational resource allocation plan focused on emergency medical services and healthcare. It was held last month up in Carroll County. Then CISA is going to provide a report for review, and that is going to be beneficial to state stakeholders in the future. Be interesting to take a look at that. I joined a meeting with CISA and Homeland Security and others in Iowa to discuss extreme weather events and their impacts on communications. That was an information gathering meeting with those participants. Joined a cross-border interoperability discussion with Minnesota. They've created a standard for their statewide platform and interoperability with ISIX on the borders. I would like to thank Minnesota for including all the participants in that discussion. It was helpful and beneficial, and they have a good standard, draft of a good standard. An outreach event was held in Emmett County on February 1st to provide information and training on ISIX. That was a good turnout of Sheriff's Office, Esterville Police Department, the school system was there, and a couple of their medical facilities. I'm really grateful to Sergeant Duden and Comms Manager Erpelding, who were able to attend and provide helpful information to the group. If anybody would like training like that or informational purposes, we are willing to travel to you and can do a morning and an afternoon or whatever your agency would need. I will be posting the Audio Gateway TA course registration this week. That is going to be held April 18th and 19th here at the DPS Orem Pate Building. I will also work to get the COMEL registration up, so there's plenty of time to register for that May 22nd through 25th course. I'll get it on our website and have Sherry Barker add it to the Iowa NCIC calendar and send it out to via email on the supervisors groups. And that ends my report, unless there are any questions.
Okay, Haley, thank you very much. All right, moving on. We have an update from U.S. Department of Homeland Security, Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. Chris Myers, are you on the line?
Yes, I am, Mr. Chair. Can you hear me okay?
I can. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Thank you very much for the time today, and thank you to the Iowa 911 Council. There's quite a bit going on across the region right now, but I am going to keep today's brief relatively short in the interest of time because I know everybody's busy. CISA did release a new document recently called Secure Your Drone. This is some guidance that talks about how drones can very easily become targets that can compromise several things, missions and individual privacy and things of the like. This document is a pretty quick read, and it provides some good intelligence and recommendations on how to protect any data and minimize privacy risks that may be there before, during, or after a flight. This is especially important as more and more agencies are utilizing drones for more and more components of a mission. This does include good components that gather and aggregate information that talks about, internet sharing, Bluetooth, whatever, any of those types of mediums that could be vulnerable to exploitation. That document is available online. If you go to CISA and search Secure Your Drone, you'll find it right away. It was sent out previously to some people within the state. I did get a couple of bounce backs when I sent this one out. So if you have not received this document from me and you're normally on my email distribution list, let me know. And we may be able to kind of figure out a way around that. But I believe this was sent to Blake as well. So you can get it from him in addition to me. On the next slide, I do want to give you a quick update on the SAFECOM nationwide survey. We are getting close to the final stretch of that being released. It is being delayed a little bit. We are going through some internal data validation on points of contact for agencies when the survey is being sent out. If you remember, there is a goal to have this sent out to each individual agency along with a customized link for them to take it. In looking at that list for at least my states in Region 7, I noticed several errors, so I've been working with the CISA team to correct those errors to make sure that those emails reach their intended recipients. And sometimes it's just something as simple as there not being an email address for an agency, or perhaps that person has moved on. So, but again, I would encourage everybody to take this survey once you receive your link. If you do not receive a link for your agency, please let me know and I will make sure to get you one. The big goal with this, I think, is to have more responses from the rural components of America, such as states like Iowa, because typically when we do these surveys, there is a wide array of responses from metropolitan agencies, but sometimes there's information that is lacking from rural America, and we want to make sure we understand those needs and can work collectively to address any gaps that may arise from those responses. On the next slide, some regional news of note. The NFL draft is coming up in Kansas City. As a part of the preparations and planning and assistance we're giving to the city of Kansas City, there are several TA courses that are coming up. Most notably next week, again, is the Incident Communication Center Manager course. That begins on Monday of next week. This is an interesting one that typically has not been delivered very often to Region 7. So if anybody has an interest, I would encourage you to sign up for that. I know it is getting close to the last minute, but the KC Metro is open to regional attendance from various agencies that are outside of the KC Metro. There's also several other courses that are coming up, such as INTD and CompT, part of the standard array of offerings that CISA delivers, and also a PTS webinar that will cover GETS, WPS, and telecommunications service priority for restoration. Of note, there is a future ITSL course coming up in Kansas as well. I believe that will be in the city of Wichita. This will be, to my knowledge, the first delivery of ITSL within Region 7. ITSL is focused around information technology during a disaster in a semi-austere environment. It takes a very specialized person to attend these courses, and I would imagine that Kansas over time will be open to regional attendance as well. It is unlikely this course will be anytime within the next 90 days, but I will keep an eye out for that posting. And if Kansas does open that up to regional attendance, I will pass that on to state of Iowa as well. So some new courses coming to the region, which is always good. On the next slide, I want to make everybody aware of some CISA leadership visits that will be coming to Iowa. The Region 7 Deputy Regional Director, Ethan Cole, will be visiting in March and is actually looking to attend the Iowa 911 Council meeting and the ISICS board meeting to meet people and kind of see what's going on within the world of communications within Iowa. Deputy Director Cole has admittedly said communications is one of the things he doesn't have a lot of awareness of, and he looks to Iowa as a good example to learn what is going on. As a part of his visit, we'll also be touring a couple of PSAPs, such as Dallas County and Des Moines State Radio, and we'll be looking at some communication sites on top of that. Also coming up in April will be Central Sector Chief Chris Essed. Mr. Essed is based out of North Carolina, and he also plans on trying to attend the 911 Council meeting and the ISICS board meetings to kind of get a sense of what is the state of governance within Iowa for some critical communication systems. Iowa does things very well, and Iowa is often looked to as a good example of how to structure meetings such as the 911 Council and ISICS board and how to get stuff done. So just wanted to make the group aware today that some leadership from CISA will be visiting Iowa over the next couple of months. And that is my slide deck for the day. Mr. Chair, I can go ahead and take any questions.
Okay, thank you, Chris. All right, moving on. Do we have any updates? I'm not aware of any, but do we have any updates for the 34A Administrative Code Committee?
Chair, there's a note in the chat that they had to step away. No report for baseline knowledge or 34A.
Okay. We did mention, or Blake mentioned, the legislative issue dealing with IPERS. Is there anything that anyone wants to discuss on that issue or any other legislative issue? Okay, hearing none. Do we have any information sharing by council members?
Chair, this is Tracy Beer, and I do have something I kind of want to bring up. I do want to thank Blake for his help with the surcharge with these wire lines and getting the surcharge in. This last quarter, I had about additional 68,000 so far, and I'm still processing some that are coming in. However, one thing that we spoke about in our budget meeting was other ways that we could find out which telcos are in the area. Assistant Chief Rob Denner did see that the Iowa Utilities Board has a map on their website with the telcos available there. And we were thinking about having our overlay of the 911 service area for the Polk County. And I didn't know if this was something that could be a statewide effort. I'm not sure how updated that Iowa Utilities Board map is, but I do think this might be beneficial for a statewide effort, because then individuals like myself, when I go through and I'm looking at the surcharge, who's paid, who's not, I can refer to that map, see who has submitted their surcharge, and make sure that I have that surcharge. And if they have not submitted, I can reach out. So I didn't know if that was something that would be feasible or not. So I just wanted to bring it up to the group.
Hey,
Well, I
Tracy,
can't imagine that wouldn't be handy information for any 911 to be aware of.
yeah, I think they keep that fairly up to date. I know there are filings that telcos have to go through, and maybe there's somebody on the call that can speak to it a little bit more intelligently than I can, but I think they keep that fairly up to date, and it would be easy to send that out, post it, make it more available, to just spread the word of its existence.
Okay, that'd be good. And if we could, I have our GIS, our regional GIS. Aaron Greiner is willing to help us, get our service area overlaid so we can actually see it. I don't know if there could be any efforts from the state, if there's smaller jurisdictions that don't have that same level of the ability or the staffing to be able to do that, just so that everybody's equal and is able to have the same resources and be able to kind of see that layered. Because we were thinking if we post it on our 911 site, people could look at that map. It's transparent to the public. They could see the service area. They could see the telcos. So I didn't know if that's something that could also be put on the state, but all the kind of service areas. It's just a thought. I'm not trying to make more work for anybody, but I think it would be good for the public to see that transparency. It also holds those telcos a little bit more accountable because it's in several different places, and people see that, hey, they have to owe this surcharge to these PSAPs so they can support their PSAP and provide good service.
Okay, sounds like a great idea. Anything else?
On that topic, I'll also send that link to Kara, and she can just put it in the minutes. I mean, we'll get it out other ways as well, but I mean, since we're talking about it, I think it would be good to just have it in the record.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yep.
All right, any other further information sharing? Okay, hearing none. I don't have any new business. We do have old business to discuss training fund policies to address fund requests for non-communication attendees. Tracy, I know you prepared something for that. Would you like to speak on that?
Yes, and if my voice goes out, my asthma's really bad right now, so it's making my voice kind of go in and out, so I apologize for that. So I thought a lot about how dispatchers and they work with different entities, but we really need to make sure that this training fund is for telecommunicators when that was one of the concerns. But if there's a training that can be proposed from these other first responding agencies that shows that effort to work together and to increase skill sets and things, we don't want to just put that away and say, nope, that doesn't qualify. So I crafted some language about how it could be done and how that training could be supported, and making sure that all the telecommunicators that want to participate get there first. And I don't know. I don't want to read it to everybody. It's there on the screen, and it was sent out, but it's just a thought. I think that you have to have those minimum amount of attendees with the telecommunicators. You need to make sure that the registrations are prioritized. There have to be a real plan about how are we going to determine, how is this individual going to determine that the telecommunicators are prioritized, how that the deadlines are met before it's open to others, and the cost. If more people can attend and the cost doesn't increase, and then all the dispatchers that want to attend are able to attend, then I don't see it as a bad thing if that training is beneficial to what the dispatcher is doing. Again, that focus has to be on that dispatcher and any kind of relationship or interactions that they may have with that other entity. But I was just thinking dispatchers work with a lot of different groups, and strengthening those relationships, making those relationships would be a good use of training funds, as long as that dispatcher is the one that training is primarily for. But it was just a thought. And then the other thing I put in there is that operating budget. I really think we need to strike this, because to my knowledge, we have never reviewed this operating budget. We haven't put 33% of those funds available to the side. So that was the other thing. And the last thing, if you go up to the top of that page, where the sentence says, if more training is requested than funds available during a given month, then I council, along with the program manager, may prioritize the funding as they see fit. I think, to be fair and equitable, there really needs to be some kind of benchmarks that the council relies upon, because we're human and we don't want to have bias, and we all represent and know different people, and I know we can abstain from the vote, but it's important that we have some kind of benchmark. So one of them could be that if there's a training that's supporting 50 dispatchers for $5,000, that might take priority over 10 dispatchers for $5,000. It's just an example. That doesn't mean that that's the benchmark that has to be used, but I think there needs to be something put there so people know what they're measured upon. Because it's not fair if we say, oh, this is the one that's going to go, but we're kind of making the rules as we go along, and that's why we have this policy, so we have clear guidance and are able to make intelligent decisions, and we're transparent to those individuals who are applying for the policy and for those funds.
I
Okay.
vaguely remember the conversation on that specific piece a while ago. And I think the reason we left it vague is to give the council, who's made up of intelligent people, the flexibility to do what's right when that, if and when that actually occurs, rather than locking us into a prescriptive methodology for determining it. And I mean, there's pros and cons to both sides, so I get it. But I just wanted to add that I vaguely remember the conversation.
It could be a broad guidance where it doesn't lock us in, but there's something that looks where it's provided so people kind of know when they apply and that those funds are there. It doesn't have to be as strong as I put it there. It could be broader. So things that will be considered, but and then to include but not inclusive, language like that, just so, because someone could say, oh, they could try to challenge and say, well, we don't want a challenge to the decision either. The success of the challenge, I don't know what that would be, but one of our chiefs brought that up in a meeting when we were going through some other topics, that just the difficulty sometimes justifying a decision if you don't have some guidance, even if it's loose guidance. So I just thought I'd bring that up because that was in my mind as I was reading over the policy again.
Okay, so given that we are virtually only today, it's a little clunky to work on things such as this. So what I'd like to do is I'll hold this on to the agenda for next time. And hopefully March brings us nice, warm, sunny weather and we're all in the same room. It might be a little easier to do this line by line with paper in front of us. So unless anyone has any issue with that, I think I'd just like to leave that as old business for next month.
And I recommend, Sheriff, there's other people that have comments or different ways to see this. I think it'd be great if they just add to the document and then send it back to you and Blake. And that way we can get some different perspectives. Because again, I read it. I have one perspective here. There's things that I don't know a lot of different things. So someone might bring up a different scenario and be like, oh, that's good too. So I welcome more feedback because it's important to get everybody's perspective. So if that could be provided to you guys before the agenda goes out for the next meeting, that'd be great.
Would it also be fair and agreeable to clean up some of just the grammatical simple fixes that I don't think anyone's going to have a problem with? I mean, that and some of the formatting, the track changes, just so we can actually look at like the 2 or 3 things that I think are substantial. Is that okay with everyone?
Yes,
It'd be
definitely.
great.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That'll make our task easier next month too.
Yeah. Absolutely. And now obviously it's a little more out there, and like Tracy said, if people have other opinions or ideas, by all means, we want to hear from them. Okay, that would take care of old business. I don't believe we have any travel requests. Do we have any business from the floor? Anyone online that would like to bring something up? Okay, well, that pretty well concludes our agenda. We can all get back to the snowstorm if you'd like. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move, Bearden.
Second, Murphy.
All those in favor signal by saying aye.
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 Okay, we are adjourned. Be safe out there, everybody. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.